Good night, everyone. Johnson. I God is good and God is good all the time. My name is Aaron Jeff Spirits Divine. Happy Valentine's Day. I got a little news for you on tonight. And this happened like 4 years. 4 years later, Ronald Green, mother is still fighting for justice. So 4 years ago, the state trooper punched and kicked and tased a man during a traffic stop. So he would go with another traffic stop. So in Norton, Louisiana, he died on the way to the hospital. And at first, the state police had blamed Ronald Green death on his car crash. The car crash. Now, it was two years later, the AP got a hold of the body cam. So, it waited 2 years later. That's when they have hold of the body camera. Cam that be on there. The video that show what really happened. Because they were saying that his car crash was the cause of his death. They're blaming on the car crash. But 2 years later, he waited 2 years later for the body camera to come out, video to come out, and it showed what really happened. So the mother, she still is waiting for justice. She's still fighting for justice. Multiple officers were charged. The Department of Justice had also opened a sweeping civil rights, prompt into Louisiana State Police. So Green's, loved ones held event, remembrance of Green as well as Tyree Nichols. So when Green's mother saw what happened to Tyrese, both at the traffic stop, she saw her own son went through the same thing, and that's why she felt the pain that the mother felt, when it happened to her son, because her son went through, she went through the same thing with her son, so she saw the son, he's still waiting, she's still waiting for justice. Now her son, Ronald Green, he was on Rose Road outside of Melrose when he was beaten, he was tased, he was dragged, on the ground as the officer taunted him. So the body in a dash cam video show Green's offering no resistance. He was not resisting at all. Now he had his verse had increased, for fear of pleading for the officer, then he died. He died as a result of his car crashing at the end of the high speed chase. So that was the excuse that was blaming it on the car crash. So Ronald Green had died May the 20th, 2019. It was 4 years ago, and the mother still in pain, fighting for justice. She said, and it took 2 years before the video came out. It showed what really had happened with the cause with his death. So it wasn't until last December, 2022, that five law, enforcement officer, were indicted on state charges, by a grand jury in Unit Paris. So it was until 3.5 years, that they had any kind of, answers. She had any kind of answers. They stated indictment, and they still have no accountability. So they are agreeing, they are angry or weak indictment. Now she figured the indictment is not enough, because her son is gone. She still wants justice to be done, because she said the indictment that they gave him, it was weak. So his family is still waiting for answers. And we shouldn't be here today. It's like so police supposed to protect, but so many people, have fear of any police. So a lot of people have fear. When situation happens, they're too afraid to even call the police. So the police are supposed to protect. But we have so many black male, it's constantly losing their life. So Ronald Green and Tyree Nichols will stop being at a traffic stop. And me not, I never heard, you lose your life at a traffic stop. So both cases were pretty much the same. So it can be fearful, to be just going home. It can be fearful just going home. Or just coming, just getting off from work. Or just be at the corner, and get stopped at the traffic stop. Not knowing that you would be brutally brutally beaten, you know, like approached for stop for any reason, you're not knowing if you're gonna lose your life, or being, you already unarmed, and you get stopped at the traffic light. It's everything is just so different now. So you have to really be praying so much, even just to go to the block, to the corner. So I don't know if they forget they're wearing the camera, or to keep having this same attack, to cause someone life taken just by being stopped at a traffic stop. So I don't know if they forget they're wearing the camera, because this kind of situation is constantly keep on happening. So I don't know why this is keep on happening. So one, I request that Green's family, have some kind of justice on this case. You know, two, I request that all officers that was involved, in that case, be fired in charge, for the crime, and have a responsibility of what had happened. So three, with this charge, I request that they, cannot work, at another police department in no state, not no at other states. So one, I have requested Green family have some kind of justice on this case. So she said she have not, have justice. She have not heard any answers. And she said the indictment that they give the guy, she said it's weak. It's not enough that she done lost her son. So two, I have requested all officers, that was involved, you know, be fired and charged for the crime. Three, I also request that anyone that was involved, that was fired and charged for this crime, you cannot work at another police station in no other state. Nothing in the police department. Because we have to try to limit all this kind of brutal attack. So I also have traffic stop on laws and procedures. You know, uh, when you're stopping a person, only on these procedures. When you stop a person at a traffic stop, you know, these are procedures that you should not be done. If someone, run a red light, then you're supposed to stop at a traffic stop. Two, if someone driving reckless or in a car chase, then you're supposed to stop them. So when you do stop them, and they are unarmed, and they're not fighting or resisting you, that should not, you should not be doing these following things that I'm about to name. So when you stop someone and they're unarmed, they're not resisting, you know, uh, one, I have no taste. No taste, no one. Two, no chokehold. Three, no beating to death. You know, the only thing you're supposed to do when you stop someone, if they ran a red light, if they're driving reckless, if they're in a car chase, these is, and it probably more, but this is the only main reason that you should be stopping someone at a traffic stop. And when you do stop someone, you know, no taste, no chokehold, and no beating to death. No one should be losing their life when you're stopping them at a traffic stop. So when you stop someone, you should only be asking for their driving license. You know, then you pull up their background check. These are procedures that you should be doing when you're stopping someone at a traffic stop. So there's no reason when you get stopped at a traffic stop, you know, and your life gets taken. I can't see that. Getting stopped at a traffic stop, and then your life. We have two situations that happened at a traffic stop. Two people had lost their life. So it have to stop. You have to follow these procedures. You only should be stopping someone if they run a red light, driving reckless, or in a car chase. And when you do stop them, when they run a light and driving reckless, you should only be asking for their driving license. And you pull their information up and see if they reject. You're not supposed to jack them out their car, beat them down, and all that. We don't even see on the video is you asking them for their driving license. You have to start going by these procedures, because all these innocent people is really getting killed, and they're being unarmed and they're being attacked and beaten to death. So we have to start following these procedures. You're only supposed to stop it if they run a red light. If they're driving reckless. If they're speeding in a car chase. This is the only reason why you should be stopping someone at a traffic stop. You know, the only reason. And when you do stop them, you're not supposed to tase them. You're not supposed to put them in a chokehold. You're not supposed to jack them out their car and beat them to death. You're supposed to be asking them for their driving license. Ask them for their driving license. Ask them to step out. You know, while they're getting their driving license, and you pull up the information and see if they're straight or not, if they got insurance and everything. You supposed to ask for insurance, and you supposed to ask for their driving license. So we don't see none of these cases. Both of these cases we didn't see on the video that you asking for driving license and insurance. When you get stopped, that's the two procedures that you're supposed to be asking. So we have to start going by these procedures when you're stopping someone at a traffic stop. So many lives can be saved. If someone is not fighting you, they're not resisting you, they're unarmed, then you follow these procedures. And still, you still don't put them in a chokehold and tase someone unless you fight for your life. If you fight for your life and a person is armed and you feel like your life is threatened, but it's these cases, none of these cases, they was not armed. They was unarmed and they plead for their life. They were not resistant. So we have to follow these procedures. So many people lives can be saved. So that's all the short news that I have for you today. That was about Ronald Green. Ronald Green, he was on. Ronald Green, he was stopped at a traffic stop. He was dragged out of his car, beaten. He was tased. He was dragged onto the ground. And the officer just tossing him until he died on his way onto the hospital. So that's another sad story, and that's why I came up with these procedures, because you have to start following these procedures, because I want a lot of people's lives to be saved. So that's all the show news I have for you today, and I just pray that y'all follow these procedures, and you police is here to protect, and if no one putting no gun out on you, and you're not being threatened, and they unarmed, you have to follow these procedures, because the person has to still live. When you're stopping at a traffic stop. No one should lose their life when you're just stopping at a traffic light. So we don't even know if they ran a red light. We don't even know what's going on when you're stopping people at the traffic stop. And then next thing you know, their life is taken, so we have to follow these procedures to save lives. That's what your job is for, to save lives. And that's what we're going to start doing, because too many innocent people is getting killed for no reason. So y'all have a blessed night, and I see y'all in the next video.